Next up, let's take a look at how these different red dots are doing through night vision equipment, and we'll try to answer the question, do you have to spend the extra $50 or $100 to have the night vision options available to you, the different settings for night vision, or maybe we'll find some red dots that with their lower daylight settings are still usable. So the equipment that it's usually used for night vision, it's either a PVS-14 monocular, or in my case, I'm using an NVM-14, which is a different manufacturer. It's done by ATN. And I'm using a Gen 2 Plus, which costs about $2,000. The Gen 3, which are the current military generation, are north of $3,000. So for my purposes, the Gen 2 Plus, it's serving all my needs. Okay, Gen 3 is better. It has some other features that this one may not have. But I'm just saying a Gen 2 or Gen 2 Plus tube is doing plenty for you, so don't necessarily feel the need to spend all the money for a Gen 3. If we take a bit of a refresher from physics, as far as the electromagnetic spectrum, the infrared, it's in the 800 nanometers frequency, and we are basically at the end of the red light spectrum. And you can also use filters. For example, for my training, if I want to do night vision training in the daylight, I'm using IR filter for my monocular, and this way you can very safely train all you want and you don't have to use a pinhole cap. The alternative is to use a pinhole cap. However, I believe infrared filter does perfectly. They are available from camera equipment manufacturers, so find one around the 800 nanometers and you will be golden. You can train all you want during the daylight with night vision equipment. However, the other thing we should be aware of is that the optics for night vision application are actually the secondary means of acquiring a target, because the main way to use night vision equipment is to use an IR laser. So the IR laser is your primary aiming mechanism, while the optic itself, it's only secondary. So therefore, I would say it's not something you should be too worried about as far as how perfect your red dot might work through NVG, because the role it's having, it's the same like the backup iron sights do in the daylight. So it's not your primary targeting mechanisms, it's only your secondary. As far as the setup I have, you can see here one of my uppers that has all the night vision equipment on it. I am using a Dibal I2. As far as IR and visible laser, I'm using a Surefire M720V Vampire, which has both daylight and IR light. We have placed the target that you already are familiar with from the parallax at about 25 yards. And just for visibility in the beginning, I placed two cam lights on the left and right of it. However, as I went through the filming through the night later on, they became distracting, so I took them off. They actually were producing too much light. However, I highly recommend these tactical cam lights, and if you ever do training exercises, safety, it's very important. So you saw earlier in a picture from our training exercises, everybody has a cam light, one on the front of the LB and one on the back, because definitely you don't want to have any accidents while training. I would like to address one point that people stress about, which I think it's a red herring, which means something that doesn't matter. Some people say that the red dot sights reflect a small amount of light forward because of the LED that projects light forward. This is true. You can see in this picture that the MRO and the Pro are projecting their light. However, the holographic sights, the EOTech 518 and the Vortex VH1 have no real visible light projected forward. But I have to say that it was very hard to take this picture, because when you are in IR mode, the light they project forward is IR. So unless your enemies have night vision equipment, they won't be bothered by this. The other thing is that when you do night work, there is a lot of reflection and a lot of light in your screen. So I would say this is the least of your problem. What is the amount of projected forward light from a red dot versus a holographic sight? So let's start with a few general shots, so I filmed everything after dark. I have also illustrated the friendly beacons that you should have or your team should have, so you know friend or foe in the field in the night. So you see different types of friendly beacons that I have tested. In this picture I have the IR laser for my upper pointed at the head of the target. You see the cam lights on the side and another friendly beacon that was on. And I experimented a bit with the camera and the IR. Also, this is just my IR laser on high, which is placed on the head of the target. So I have the IR laser on target but no sight on the upper, so no secondary means of targeting at this point.